Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Pantry STEAM. How's everybody doing this morning? Everybody doing good? Love it. Well, as some of you may remember, I'm Mr. Bill. We had a lot of fun the last time we did this. We're going to have even more fun this time because today we're going to highlight this really fun new nonfiction series that our selector got for us that's been published by DK Publishing. And then their nonfiction books are fantastic for great illustrations, pictures, all of that stuff. And these are done a little bit in the vein of the Who Was books. If any of you have ever discovered any of those, the Who Was, What Were kinds of things. And it's just a lot of fun all together. So we are going to get into that right now, if you can believe it. We have a cool craft to go along with it that we'll need a couple of things for, but we'll get to that in a minute. Don't worry. So this microbytes series is what we're talking about today. And we are going to, since I get one thing here, the only thing I didn't do is make it so you can actually see this. We will fix that right now. There we go. Oh my goodness, that's so much better. Because now you can see that it says mummies instead of CMMM, which is no sense at all. So these are very, very cool books. And there's actually 4 of them in the series. We only had 3 out of the 4 on our shelf, even though we just got them. So we've got one on mummies, clearly. There's one on gladiators, which is a lot of fun. And the one we're going to focus on today, on flight. Because what's a better thing to do in the summer than fly, right? So there's a few things that these, and remember, these are just nonfiction books, like every other nonfiction book. So they have all of the same features. They've got a table of contents at the front. They've got an index in the back to tell you where everything is, okay? Even though it's full of great pictures and cool facts, but these have something that a lot of the nonfiction don't really have, and they call this different. This has a reference section. Let's see, here we've got a reference section. And every one of these books has a reference section. And they're all similar in that they have some sort of a timeline and a glossary, which is just like a dictionary, right? Glossary, yeah, just like a dictionary, as well as some important facts. So today, what I thought we would do is we would look at this one and see a couple of the things that's in this reference section. It's the kind of thing that you're going to find in all 4 of these books. So this particular one has historic moments in flight. All right. Like a typical historic moment, that would be like the first time anything flew, right? It wasn't like a bird. Well, that was back in 1783, November 21st, 1783. And Mr. Bill doesn't just know that. because it says so right here. But it sure is a cool fact that you can just whip out, isn't it? And it was the Marquis de Arlandes Pantry de Rosière make the first air journey in a Montgolfier balloon. How about that? It's a mouthful, isn't it? And of course, you go down here quite a ways before you get the Wright brothers' first flight at Kitty Hawk, right? So that's historic moments. This one has heroes of aviation. Some of the bigger names in aviation history. Charles Lindbergh, first man to fly by himself from New York to Paris. It's a pretty big deal. Chuck Yeager, first man to break the sound barrier in an airplane. And it's got a flight glossary. Very, very cool. And then as you can see down here, this one also has great aircraft. Because when it comes to flight, some of the biggest milestones are the technological leaps between one airplane to another. And my favorite in this is it's got a list of websites that you could go to for more fun, exciting things. One of them being the Air and Space Museum. At the Smithsonian. Great pictures all the way through. Now, unlike a lot of the DK books, these pictures are all black and white, but they are still really cool pictures. To give an example of the difference in the reference section, this one is out of the Gladiator book. In the Gladiator book, you've got a list of the emperors of Rome. A gladiator who's who. Some of the bigger names in gladiators, because at that time, gladiators were like our professional athletes of today. But of course, you can't talk about ancient Rome without getting into the mythology, right? So they have a list of the gods and goddesses of Roman mythology. And then you get an actual timeline for ancient Rome. Totally different than the reference section we were just looking at in the flight book. The mummies, same kind of thing. Now, I said there were 4. I only have 3. The one I don't have is the dinosaur one. The dinosaur one is checked out, but it looks insanely cool, and it will also have a reference section in it. So this is, like I said, this is a great new nonfiction series that we're talking about. Well, last time we talked about Geronimo Stilton, the fiction guy. This time we're talking about nonfiction series, some great new books, some new titles that are fabulous. These are all fairly good size, but not overwhelmingly so. Cool stuff in them. Lots of neat things. Which leads us to our activity. Now, for our activity, Mr. Bill's going to try something new. This is very, very iffy here. So you might not want to look right at it, okay? I am going to switch cameras. Now don't be alarmed. This worked great in rehearsal. I only broke 3 things. And then suddenly there was a table. So if you give me a minute, I'm going to run next door to where that table is, and then we'll just keep going. Right? And ta-da! We are next door at the table. Now, today, our activity, we're going to be making our own airplane, okay? You're going to need a couple of things, okay? You need a piece of paper, preferably something a little heavy like cardstock, all right? You're going to need a straw. It doesn't have to be a giant shake or slushy straw like this. Any old straw will do. You just don't want the bendy part. Okay, so if it has a bendy part on it, you're going to want to cut that off so that you're just using the solid part. Okay, you're going to need some Scotch tape. Not a lot, just a little bit. You're going to need some scissors. This is so exciting, isn't it? Because the type of airplane we're making today is not one of the origami types that just are a lot of folding. This is different. We're actually crafting the wings, and this is going to be the body of the plane. So, also need a couple of rubber bands. Well, I mean, that's optional. At that point, you will have an option between using rubber bands or Scotch tape. But that's actually fastening the wings on. We don't want to jump ahead. And finally, there's a special thing that you need that's going to be unique to your airplane. And that is something to be a small weight at the front. Now, it could be something fancy like a magnet. It can be something crafty like a button. Or it can be something like I can find almost anywhere, like a little pebble. That's all that is. I know it's hard to see.
I've got a coin.
It's just a little, yeah, it's just a little rock is all I'm going to use. Just a little tiny rock. Doesn't have to be heavy. Totally easy. Okay. So, is everybody ready? We all ready? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, what I like most about this craft, this particular one, is the measurements, okay? Because you know the wings at the front of a plane are wide and the wings at the back of a plane are narrow, but the way we're doing it makes it so easy. So all we're going to do, rather than measure and do a lot of those types of things, is we're going to cut 2 strips long way out of our paper, and we want both of those to be about 1 inch wide. Now, all right, well, Mr. Bill, what's an inch? How do I know what 1 inch is? Well, if you've got a pair of scissors, 1 inch is going to be pretty close to the thumb side, like the inside of the thumb. That's roughly what we're doing. Now, this doesn't have to be exact, okay? It doesn't have to be exactly 1 inch. but it's going to be about that much right here, about that big. And we're just going to cut the strip all the way down about that wide. Okay, so let's just get nice and straight, nothing fancy. We're just going to cut right down the length. It's better to be a little too wide if you have any doubts. Okay, and we're just going to cut down the paper. And of course, we're using all of our best scissor safety so that we're not poking ourselves in the eye or poking our friends or cutting our fingers off, right? And so I have a strip like that. Now, I did so well, and I know that you did too. We're just going to cut a second strip just like that, okay? Exactly same thing. One more. Now, you can do this, recreate this anytime with any light material. And you can experiment too. If you happen to have some craft foam, you could do something that's heavier and try. If you've got just regular paper, you could give that a try and see what the differences are. You know, this is your summer. This is your time, right? So now we have two strips just alike, okay? Now we're going to pick one of these strips. I'm picking this one. And this is where our detailed measuring comes in. We're just going to cut this in half, okay? So find roughly the halfway point and just snip right through. Oh my, look at there. Look at there. How about that? So the other part that you just did, you don't need. The other paper that you have, you don't need. You can set all of that aside. We're done with that. So we have our long strip and a short strip. Okay. To give you a preview of what's coming, that's your airplane. Now we've got a couple other things to do to it first. Okay. Got a couple other things to do first. But this is what we're building toward. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to curve the ends of the wings. Okay. These are wings. We're going to curve the end. Now you're going to cut this in an arc, but you want one side to stay long. Okay. You want it to be as long as you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine that this is the front of my wing and this is the back. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut right around there to make it an arc. I'm going to start back a little ways. And I'm just going to cut right up around like this. And take the corner off. Okay. So this is what the piece looks like that I cut off. Easy, right? Not bad. But I still have, on this front side, I still have it very, very long. Now, the trick is that I also have to do it to this side, but the long side still has to be over on this side. So I will cut this way. Okay. Now, I don't cut very well from this side But if I turn it over, now this is my long side. It traces up. This is my long side. And I'm going to make this same cut like this right here. Okay. So we're going to take, I'm going to cut slowly up. And I have another bent end. But even better, I have something that looks like that. So the long side is here. This is going to be the front. And this is the back side of the wing. Okay. That's along the back. Super simple, right? You guys are pros at this. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing to this one so that it looks like this one, just half as long. Okay? So that's the next step. So we're just going to cut right along here, just like we did. Right? I'm going to pivot and turn it. And there I have that one. How are we doing? Is everybody doing okay? We're keeping up so far? No hurry. There is no hurry with this at all. We can take as much time as we need to. And we're also working through recordings on these so that you can go back and look at them later in case you wanted to change what you were using or there was something that you didn't have that you wished you had.
Or I forgot steps.
So it's all happening. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do when you're ready is we're going to take some of this part of each wing, right, each one, and we're going to curl it up. Okay. Not fold it, not fold it, just kind of round it up a little. Okay. Now you see some of the airplanes that have that swoop at the end of their wings. That's all we're making. Okay. Get this so that you can kind of see what I've done. So this is the side I bent. All I did was bend it, roll it a little. This one's still straight. So I'm going to roll this one to match the other end. So that I have something that when it sits in front of me looks a little like a smile. Okay? Does that make sense? We're just making our wings smile. We're not actually folding it. We're just bending it. Just like that. And then, of course, we're going to do the same thing to the little one. Bend it around. And I'm kind of wrapping it in, rolling it into my finger a little bit to make that a little easier for me. So that I have a little smile that you can almost see. Okay, just like that. Two little smiles. Easy peasy, right? So easy. You guys got this. Now is a decision time. We're going to attach our wings to our straw. Okay. Now I've laid my straw on top. That's not actually how they attach. The wing will actually be on top of the straw. Okay. But here's where you have a decision to make. You can use tape to tape your wing on, or you can use a rubber band to put your wing on. Biggest difference is if you tape it, you can't move it very easy. If you rubber band it, you will be able to adjust it. Okay, that's the biggest difference. Actually, that's the only difference. So for mine, I'm going to do the rubber band because that's a little trickier to do. So what I'm going to do is I just slip the rubber band over the edge of the paper. Only I'm going to turn and double it so that it's on there just a little tighter. Okay. Everybody know kind of what I'm talking about when I'm doubling things around, double loop the rubber band. And then I'm just going to work this very carefully.
Could you show me like
To the middle of my wing. Like that. All right. And then I'm going to fit my straw. See how this crosses back here? I'm going to fit my straw right through here. Right through the rubber band. Yeah. So if you get where it's doubled, you want that to be on the bottom so that there's a little bit of a gap there. And then that's what you pass the straw through. Like that. Oh, look what Mr. Bill did. He put it on the wrong way. This should be the front over here, but this is the front on the straw. Whatever can I do? Well, I fixed my oops by sliding it down the straw to where I want it to be. That's all. We just fix it. Now you want to leave yourself at least the width of your wing away from the front. Okay? However you choose to attach your straw, that's what you want to do. That out a little bit. And then to show the other way, I'm going to put a piece of tape on the back so that you get a chance to see the difference. Making sure that the front is still facing the front, leaving just a little bit of gap at the end, and making sure that it is level with the wing at the front. It's like that. Oh, but that's not right, is it? We'll just adjust. We just adjust. Okay. And I don't know about your plane, but mine always comes unrolled at this point. So we just fix some things up a little bit. Like that. And there we have our basic plane, right? Ta-da! Now, as you're holding it and you're doing this, you might feel like it's going to go, and you're welcome to toss it, but you will find that this really is going to make a difference. So now all we're going to do with this, and it can be a little piece of Play-Doh, it can be anything, just a little tiny bit of weight. And because I'm using a rock, I'm going to put mine here at the front. But I'm still going to try to fasten it on. Oh, I dropped it. Get this on here. Here, we're going to do it like this. This will be better. We're going to go. This. I'm going to put that here so that I can get a hold of it. Just like that. And I've got my rock on. So now, as we straighten things around, you've got a plane with a little bit of weight at the front that will actually give it more momentum, right? A little bit more weight going forward to give it more momentum, to carry it, to pull it through the air a little better, and your plane should go farther. And there we have our airplane that we made our own selves, our very own airplane. How about that?